Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. If you don't, I don't care. Because I welcome you to the OC. Bitch.
What you say?
I told you that it's time to start the show.
That you only meant well.
Yeah, the show's gonna do well.
Of course you did. What you say?
I said let's go.
That it's all for the best.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like the best podcast.
What you say?
God, do I have to keep repeating myself?
Just what we need. You decided this.
Hold up, I
What
thought we
you
both
say?
decided to do this.
What did she say?
I said let's start the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to What You Say, an OC podcast. My name is Elise Daly.
And I'm Scott Daly.
And together, we're the Dailies.
This is the podcast where each and every week we hop into the shower together and watch the hit 2000s teen drama, The OC.
It's not big enough.
This week we watched season 1, episode 25, The Shower. Please don't go into our personal lives about our showering
Our
habits.
showers are too small.
Yeah, we can't shower together. Everyone knows now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone on the internet, Elise and I, our shower is tiny. It's like a stand-up stall shower. There's not enough room for two people in there. And my parents listen to this podcast. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But before we get into that, it's time for everyone's favorite section of the show. It's time for the Rosies and Thornies.
Every rose has its thorn.
Has its thorn.
Just like every night has its dawn.
Dawn, dawn, dawn.
Every cowboy sings a sad song. Every rose has its thorn. Yeah. Jesus.
The part of the podcast where Scott and I look back on the week and talk about the good, the bad, the Rosies, the Thornies. And as always, we start with the bad.
What happened to you giving like a little bit of time?
You never put the music in there.
That's not true. I put the music in every day for the last 2 weeks.
Every day you'd go through and
every
just
day.
re-edit it
Yeah,
over and over
every
so that
day.
you could put it in?
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
Totally.
That's dedication right there, Scott.
I am a consummate professional.
I can tell. Yeah.
At least, what's your thorn?
Well, this week I had a lot of really late nights. And for those of you who have listened to this podcast for a long time, you know how much I value my sleep. And because I had a lot of late nights in a row, I have lost out on a lot of sleep. And so that just really throws me and makes the rest of my day awful. But I don't think I have that many late nights this next week. So that's going to be good.
Good. I'm
Yep.
glad.
Yep.
I'm glad.
That's it.
That's great.
Yep. What was your thorn?
My thorn is there was no snow.
Snow, go away.
So I want to tell
Come
a
again
story,
another day.
but it's not coming again. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's never
Okay, tell a
coming
story,
again.
Scott.
The story
I'm listening.
is, it was back a long, long time ago. I like to call it BE, before release.
Mm-hmm.
It was February, and 2 Februaries in a row, the Monday after the Academy Awards.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember this.
Dallas, Texas was frozen over.
Yeah, it was
ice
nice.
days 2 years in a row, which is perfect because I, like the film professional that I am, like to get really wasted and yell at my television
Oh my
during the
gosh,
Academy
that's
Awards.
exactly what I did on those
That's
days
why we're
too.
a fucking match made.
When I
in heaven.
realized that it was going to be a snow day, I was like, pop another bottle.
Yep. And so that's like the last time. I think the last time
You can
we
recall.
had a snow day after the Academy Awards, like the last time it really like snowed and iced over in Texas, and that was at least 5 years ago because it was before I met you. And so this week, the Academy Awards are this weekend.
Yeah.
And so this week it was supposed to be really cold, and I was so excited because Wednesday it was supposed to snow, and like everyone at my work was like, "Oh yeah, the office is gonna be shut down. It's gonna snow." Half the people like were like just on Tuesday were like, "I'm not going into work. I'm working from home."
You didn't work from home.
I went to work
You
because
did.
it didn't snow.
Yeah.
It didn't snow.
It didn't.
It didn't freeze. Not in. I mean, like, there were parts. I think in Denton that got a little snow.
Austin got snow.
Austin,
Waco got
lower
snow.
than us.
Everywhere
More
around us.
south.
Yeah.
Nothing in Dallas.
The cream is supposed to get the white.
It broke. What?
We were the cream.
What are you
We
talking?
were sandwiched in. And where the sandwiches is supposed to be the good part.
I have a question for you.
What?
Where does this stuff come from?
My brain?
The cream is supposed to get the white. Is a
Yeah.
sentence you, my wife, just said.
Yeah.
As if it was a normal thing to say.
Why is it not normal?
I I don't know.
Exactly,
Anyway,
Scott. Exactly.
the point is, I wanted
What's
there to
the
be a
point?
snow day, and there wasn't. And I'm pretty bummed about it.
Yeah.
There's certainly not going to be a snow day tomorrow, the day after
No,
the Oscars. You
there's
know what
not.
is going to be tomorrow, the day after the Oscars? It's going to be a balmy 70-something degrees.
I thought about taking tomorrow off, but
Why?
I'm not because I can.
Just fine.
Yeah, but I'm not. It's okay.
Dogs are making a lot of noise.
One of them almost threw up last night.
Cool.
Did you not know that?
No,
Yeah.
I was sleeping.
Yeah.
We're recording this Sunday afternoon because our Mondays are both very busy.
We don't need to tell them that.
Well, it's just, I mean, I'm just giving some, like, our dogs are usually, like, more tired during our normal record times, and now they're, like, wide awake. And so they're making a whole lot of noise.
I'm wide awake.
Hey, Elise, what's your rose?
Yeah. My little sister came in town this
what?
week. My little sister.
My little sinner.
My little sister.
My little sinner.
She came in town this week, and we went to this lady who was on book tour, her little meet and greet and book
Yes.
signing.
The lady who was on book tour. The one lady.
Kelly Levecchio. She's a celebrity nutritionist, dietitian. Really, she's a nutritionist and dietitian, but she does work with celebrities. But anyways, heard her talk, got some smoothie samples, drank the Kool-Aid, and now we're going to have smoothies this next week.
Literally and figuratively drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep. Drank the smoothie aid,
We bought
actually.
seven cucumbers.
Yeah, one
at the store
cucumber
today.
per smoothie.
Yeah. It's a lot of cucumbers.
It is a lot of cucumbers.
A
I hope
lot
you
of
enjoy your
cucumbers.
smoothie.
It's going to taste very cucumbery, I'm guessing. This is going to have an entire cucumber in it.
Maybe I'll put about half a cucumber instead of a full cuke.
I'm not actually worried
Do you want
about
one cuke or half a cuke?
a cuke?
Yeah,
A cuke.
a cuke.
Gross. I want 0 cukes. I would like a cucumber.
Okay, one cuke. What's your roast, Scott?
My rose is the Oscars. It's tonight because we're recording on a Sunday, so it hasn't actually happened yet. Normally we would record this on Monday.
Normally you'd get my fashion breakdown, but it didn't happen this year. If you, I guess, want to listen, because we did an Oscars thing last week with Doofcast, if Scott wants to do like an Oscars fashion thing, because as you guys have known, if you listen to this podcast, Scott's all into fashion now.
Oh, I got some fashion pointers for our characters on the show. Just you wait and see.
So I think, I could really talk him into doing a little Oscars fashion rundown for Doofcast next week.
I love hating on the Oscars, but I love the Oscars. And as soon as we finish this podcast, we're going to go to the store. We're going to get a big old pizza pie, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to
National
drink
Pizza Day.
and we're going to watch the Oscars. And I am looking forward to it.
Happy National
so
Pizza
looking forward
Day.
to it. So that's my rose.
Yep.
Even though it's probably not going to go the way I want, and Joker's probably going to win like 12 awards. I'm
Every
really
time
annoyed.
they say
But-
the word Joker, I think we should have to drink.
Wow, I have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay. Well, that's my rose. That's it.
Okay.
Let's move on.
All
to
right.
The episode.
We're going to talk about the episode. Scott, tell me about episode 25,
Episode
The Shower.
25. The Shower is as episode 25. It just so happens to be the 25th episode of season 1 of The OC. It was written by J.J. Philbin and directed by Sandy Smolin, who previously directed the episode entitled The Third Wheel. That's the one where Haley was getting in everyone's way because she was eating all their bagels. Remember that?
Oh,
Haley
yeah.
was eating everyone's bagels.
We didn't like when she was eating all
And
the bagels.
in this episode, I think Mr. Smolin has a
A thing for Haley?
trend because Haley's not eating bagels, but like she's eating Jimmy Cooper's
Someone's eating
face.
Haley.
Ew.
What?
Will you please give me the summary of the
yeah.
This episode originally aired on April 21st, 2004. Please give me the summary.
Let me tell you about this. So everyone is still reacting to the surprise engagement of Julie and Caleb. Kirsten is shocked and a little burdened to find she's been asked to be Julie's maid of honor. Kirsten and Marissa end up in charge of throwing Julie's wedding shower, and Marissa invites an unwanted guest. Julie's estranged sister, whom does not approve of her upcoming wedding, whom she suspects that it's purely for money. Meanwhile,
A lot of whom's.
Teresa calls Sandy for help when she runs away from Chino and tries to avoid Ryan. Jimmy and Haley continue their romance, and Seth awkwardly meets Summer's father. But Seth's lack of social skills make Dr. Roberts disapprove of him. Scott, what are your overall thoughts for this episode?
As I think your summary there kind of indicated,
Not my summary, my read summary. This is
as
not something
the
that
summary
I wrote.
right there just
Yes.
kind of indicated. I think the problem with this episode is too much shit is going on. There's too much. I like a lot of parts of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too many things here.
Too many.
Like there's not
too many things.
There's not an A plot and a B plot with a little mini C plot. There's a D plot. There's an E plot. There's a Q plot somewhere in there. There's just too much going on in this episode.
So many things.
And I think the result is everything kind of gets like sped through really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could do a whole episode on Summer and Seth's thing with her father, but that barely gets any time. And I was kind of disappointed by this episode.
It's sad because of how much my overall thoughts. Let's think about it. Scott, I have a question for you.
Well, Teresa's back in the show, so I guess you hated this episode.
Okay. And my favorite couple is
Summer and Seth, and they are on the rocks after this episode.
Therefore, my thoughts about this episode will be.
You hated it.
Yes,
You've
Scott.
never hated anything.
I
more
am
than you
so
hated this
predictable, aren't I?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, let's move right on into our
Okay.
beat by beat. We open this
beep,
episode.
beep. Haven't done that in a while.
I know. We open this episode as we normally do in the Cohen kitchen. The gruesome twosome, as they're labeled, which is Julie and Caleb, are getting married in 2 weeks. And Kirsten is not dealing with this well. She's angrily making bagels, which is never a good thing to do.
Questions,
Don't
Scott.
angrily make bagels.
This seems like a shotgun wedding.
Oh,
Doesn't it?
It does indeed seem like a shotgun wedding. You think there's a little baby Luke in that bonnet?
Oh, I don't know, Scott. What do you think?
I have no idea. I think our dogs are fighting in the middle of a recording session.
Yes. Just like Kirsten and Jimmy. I'm sorry.
I forget where we were.
Juju's got a little bun in the oven.
Yeah, that's a bold prediction. I don't think that's what it is.
Okay.
I don't think so.
What did we say? All right, so Sandy's trying to be positive. What with the incredible amount of money that Caleb has offered them for the restaurant. So,
Things are going well on that front.
they're going well, and they're also going well for Marissa and Ryan again. So everything's just hunky-dory, right?
So
Nothing can go wrong.
Let's ruin it all.
Let's just end the episode and call it a day, right?
So Seth decides to do what we did last week. He takes some time to figure out all the connections between the families after this wedding. Julie Cooper will be Sandy's mother-in-law, Kirsten's stepmother, his grandmother, and he then says, my grandma wears Uggs, which is hilarious. I didn't realize Uggs were a thing all the way back in 2004. Those things have hung around.
Yeah. So that would mean it is Ryan's adopted step-grandmother.
Right, we talked about this last week, but...
And Marissa is Kirsten's sister.
Again,
Stepsister.
We did this already.
Stepsister.
And he gets close to doing those. He says, I think Marissa and I are going to we could be related, but haven't even figured all that out yet. It's almost as if the show realized what you realized last week and then did not want to get close enough to it to actually deal with it because it starts to go down
Because
that
then
road.
it would be disgusting, right?
It would.
Okay. So all of a sudden, the phone rings and Teresa's calling on the other line after we've already established that Ryan says that him and Teresa are over in this scene earlier. And so we think that, Teresa's back and she's going to talk to Ryan, but she doesn't want to talk to Ryan.
No.
She wants to meet Sandy to have some legal question answered. And we don't see the other side of her face as she's talking on the phone. It's just one profile that we are only supposed to see. Mm-hmm. And then she tells Sandy not to tell Ryan that she's going to be meeting with him. And after they hang up the phone, she turns so we can see both sides of her face. And dun, 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 she is a black guy.
Did I predict that Eddie's going to become abusive on the podcast, or I just do that in a conversation with you?
I think you just did it in a conversation off of it. Okay. I don't remember.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do this way, way back during the whole thing.
Yeah.
But... We're doing it now.
Anyways.
So we go to the
California, here we...
Oh, I get it. The joke that Elise just did there is the opening credits this week are cut short. They accelerated some of the opening credits, and I don't know why that is.
Yeah, Scott was taken off guard.
I was just sitting there making notes, and then suddenly you hear it shift to a different key earlier in the song than it normally would, and you're like, wait, what? Yeah. My guess here is... This is a thing about TV that none of us know about, but your episode has to be a certain length. They have the set commercials there. It has to down to the second be a certain length, no more, no less. And it's sometimes really difficult when you're 10 seconds too long, right? And you're just looking for places to chop. And like we talked about already, this episode is stuffed. There's so much shit going on in this episode.
Think about how much cream would be in that Oreo.
So Jesus. I really just think what it came down to is they needed like 5 seconds to get this episode to time.
Okay.
They couldn't think of where to get it.
Well,
and they
that's good.
cut it from the opening music.
Good thought.
Of course, I could be proven wrong immediately next episode where this is just the new intro now. That it is just like,
Could
this
be.
is where it's going to cut. I have no idea. We'll see.
Are you enjoying the fact that I am fast forwarding through the previously on? That way you
I
don't.
am. That's something Elise is doing for me. Like, while I'm in the other room, she'll set it up and fast forward to past the previously on. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect here.
Yeah, I think that's more fun for me
The
too.
Teresa call was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
And
Did
the-
you like
and
it
the
that it was a
previously on
surprise?
would have ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the shortened opening credit scene, we come back to Kirsten's office, and Julie comes in complaining about wedding planning, even though Kirsten is on the phone.
Rude.
Yeah. Evidently, there's Mad Cow. Remember, Mad Cow was a thing.
The big
Everyone
thing.
wouldn't eat beef for a while.
No, you can't. The cows are mad.
Yeah. And her wedding planner is trying to explain to her that Bob Seger is so over, but Luke does not think that.
Hold the phone. Time up. We got to back up here.
Okay, hurry up.
So, excuse me. This is the show right here. What I'm about to do. This is the
it?
whole show. Without
Okay.
this, the show is nothing.
Okay.
So, Julie loves Bob Seger.
Yeah, she does.
So let's go back. Let's go back
Yeah.
7 days to last week's episode.
Yeah.
Where Luke was drinking on top of the park.
Yeah,
Just
listening.
jamming out to some what?
Bob Seger.
Some Seeger?
You know why? Because Julie told him about the band.
Well, what came
band.
first, the chicken or the egg? Did they fall
I
in
think-
love because they both love Bob Seger?
You know, Bob Seger's older than Luke, so I think Bob Seger came first.
Yeah, but as we learn about Julie in this episode,
Yeah.
she was into some pretty like hardcore
Oh, yeah, she
metal.
was.
Like she was
yeah.
not into the Seeger.
Juju's not as refined as she likes
I
to
know.
pretend to
so
be.
what's with the Seeger?
I don't know.
I don't know. Is she missing on some Luke, or was Luke playing it because I don't know, babe. I don't know.
Luke was playing it because he was sad about Julie. Come on.
Or is Julie playing it at her wedding because she's trying to channel Luke
No,
because she's got that Luke
no.
baby in that oven?
I don't know. Kirsten asks, or rather tells.
Or Julie asked.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Julie tells Kirsten that she's going to be her maid of honor
And I was right. I was right about that. That was my prediction.
and
I was
asks her to host her wedding shower, a fancy couple shower, where she has all the details that she wants, but she tells Kirsten
right.
it's up to her.
You have to do it. Yeah.
But here's what I want. Yeah.
Okay. And back at school, Marissa is contacted by Caleb, ordering her to help Kirsten with the shower per our arrangement. So we can see right away that this whole thing that Caleb has negotiated here, he's going to continue to hold over Marissa's head forever, probably just forever. She takes out her stresses by playing Pac-Man with Ryan. Because, yeah, video games is a thing that Ryan and Marissa do all the time. And like Seth, I am weirded out by this, but Seth is weirded out for different reasons. Because what does Seth say to this whole arrangement?
Well, Marissa's supposed to be crying and Ryan's supposed to be brooding. That's how it works. And for some reason, they're happy and playing video games.
Ugh,
What's up with
the
that?
universe is turned upside down.
Yeah.
And,
It's also turned upside down when Summer answers this phone call, Scott.
yeah.
She answers this phone call. She's talking extremely casually and goofy. It's not Rachel Bilson's like Emmy nominated performance.
Has Rachel Bilson been nominated for an
No,
Emmy?
she
Look,
hasn't.
Look, we've talked about how much I love Summer
Yeah.
Roberts. I love Rachel Bilson.
Her acting is not the best.
She's not, and look, she's young. She's gonna get better. She'll get on that.
But she still plays the same type of character in
she'll
every
get
show.
on that show, the small town show,
Heart of Dixie.
Heart of Dixie, and she'll
And then
just,
she was on that other show that got
she'll
canceled.
just channel all this acting. But here in her early career, faking like you're having a phone conversation with someone else, not her strong point.
Yeah.
Not
And then
good.
we find out that the person that she's been talking to is her dad,
yeah,
who we learn is her best friend.
yes. It's weird
Sweet, I guess.
that our character that we've been following for 25 episodes, her best friend is her father, and we've never seen him, and she rarely brings him up.
Well, after we recognize the relationship between Summer and her father is so strong, Seth wants to meet her dad because Seth's her boyfriend and parents love him.
Yeah.
But
Which, I mean, I think that's fair. Seth,
Yeah.
I think his anticipation that he's very good with parents is pretty spot on. He is not, I think he says, like, I give off, like, a very non-sexual energy.
it's true.
I absolutely see Seth as the type of person that would be very good with parents.
But he also needs to understand if she doesn't want him to meet her dad, then he needs to respect that because of how awful he was whenever Summer wanted to meet the Nana.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The tables have turned. The
Yeah.
Nana tables have turned.
They
Seth.
have.
And Summer goes out of her way to prep for the Nana.
Yeah. What does Seth do?
To be fair, Seth does do some prep. Like, I don't want to...
Just a little bit of prep.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't know how much more you could prep for this.
Well, it's the difference between I'm just going to ask you all these questions instead of I'm going to go out and find the book and do the research on my own and then show you.
Is there a book called Summer's Father, the book, that you could study?
Well, no, there's not a book called Summer's Father, but you could probably figure out all of the things about his history, if he has a job, like there's...
He asks that.
Well, he could figure that out on his own.
He tries to get some hobbies, and the only hobbies that Rachel Bilson Summer will talk about are, well, we really both, our most common shared interest is me. We both really like me.
Yeah, well, Seth knows a lot about Summer.
Yeah, so we can casually talk about Summer.
Yes.
And the sex he had with her. That'll go great.
So she's nervous, though, because Seth is going to be the first boy that she ever brings to home, quote unquote home, to introduce to her dad.
Yeah, and I mean, what the show is doing is setting up that this is going to go bad. Like, from the beginning, it's going to go bad. And then we do this really awkward fade where the director of this episode really likes to do these really, really dramatic fades.
Yeah, it's weird.
It doesn't work.
There's a couple
in
this, and it's bad.
And so we fade to Sandy and Teresa at lunch. As we suspected, Eddie has laid hands on her. He's punched her. And she wants to know what happens if he does this again and she presses charges. And he's like, well, he'll go to prison. There might be a restraining order. She basically decides she's not leaving him. And then we leave this scene. This was like a 45-second scene. It was real quick. They just do this and we move on because this episode is way too stuffed. And then we cut back to Seth and Summer, who we just left. They're now... It's later in the day. They're now discussing the lunch with Dad is happening tomorrow. And like we talked about before, they're both very nervous, and the show is working overtime to establish how bad this is going to go. We've got some commands from Mr. Roberts here. Stand under a bright light so we can see you all. Order a steak because greens are effeminate. So automatically.
Well, that's what Summer said.
Yes.
The dad only wants him to stand under a bright light so that he can see him. And then Summer's trying to give him some pointers.
Because Dad thinks greens are effeminate. So order a steak. We also learned a little bit later that he thinks sarcasm is a sign of weakness, which is not good. Sarcasm is Seth's primary means of communication. So not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
So we go over to a place where things are going pretty good. To Jimmy's apartment where things are getting pretty hot and heavy with Haley.
He is taking off one of those spaghetti straps, Elise.
Yes.
He's sliding a spaghetti. We see Haley bare shoulder.
Yeah, and Jimmy wants to go to the bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but she says no because Marissa's going to get home soon. And
then she does.
They were right on, Marissa gets in and they try to cover everything up. But
the worst performance I have ever seen. She's over here to help me fix the leaky sink. And Marissa sees through it immediately. Like, they would have just been better just playing it straight and being like, hey, we're dating. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you before.
They're not that smart, though. Neither of them. No. Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, but she figures it out, obviously, because it's super obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, hey, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, Dad. And I think this is a genuine, like, I'm happy for you. This isn't like I don't think at this point Marissa is like, I want my mom and dad to get back together.
No, and I think she's happy because she knows that she's going to have to move out. And so she knows that her dad has somebody, then it makes her feel better about the fact that she's going to be leaving.
Well, that's the whole thing, because the next thing that happens is Jimmy announces that they're going to sell the lighthouse to Caleb for like a shit ton of money, which of course Marissa already knew about that because that was part of her arrangement.
It wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. I have some thoughts on that. But
okay.
So they're going to be millionaires again, and they'll get to buy a house of their own. They'll live happily ever after. And of course, this is heartbreaking because, as you said, we know that part of the deal in getting this money was that Marissa goes to live with her mother again. So no, she will not be going off with her dad and living together. And she hasn't told him yet. And she doesn't tell him in this episode. We assume this is going to come next week or the week after. Yeah. But It's like you just see trouble on the horizon, and none of our characters are doing anything to avoid it. They're just steering right into those headlights. It's really sad.
So Marissa is going to meet up with her stepsister. That's why I was thinking about the word stepsister. And so she goes over to Kiki's to plan that wedding shower. And while she's there, she bumps into her mom, and all that goes about as well as you would hope for that to go. And Marissa decides that she's not going to take the high road like Ryan asks her to do. She's just going to invite Aunt Cindy, Julie's sister, to the shower, who, you know, by
Julie's
looking
sister.
at Marissa's smirk on her face, we know that this is not going to be a welcome family member at the shower.
Look, we give some of the actors on the show a hard time. Misha Barton is not the best actress either.
No.
But this moment with this smiling, knowing smirk on her face before we've even met Aunt Cindy is pretty great.
Out of the four friends,
Yeah.
I think Seth is the best actor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's no coincidence that he's also the one that debatably has had the most successful career after this show.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So
continue.
we cut over back to some more adults. Caleb is writing Jimmy and Sandy a $2.5 million check for the lighthouse. They are happy, or at least Jimmy is very happy, but Sandy's kind of bummed because, like, to him, this wasn't just a money-making proposition. That's what it was for Jimmy. To him, it was doing something that he cared about again, owning a restaurant, finding pride and value through this thing because he was unhappy with his job. And that's kind of like what this episode is about for Sandy, is about him moving back to a place where he was at the beginning of the season, to a place where he's like out there, not just doing work, but helping people.
Yeah.
Like, and so he kind of sets his sight on Teresa and maybe focuses a little bit more on Ryan again than he has in a few weeks at least. So we see that happening, but let's talk about this money, right?
Okay.
$2.5 million for this restaurant. So they say here that they get back more than twice what they put into the place, which let's estimate then the amount of money they sunk into the lighthouse was $1 million. So they're $1 million in debt. So they're going to use this $2.5 million, pay off the debt, or at least maybe Cohen's, or maybe Cooper, no, maybe Caleb is going to like assume the debt, so it's really a $3.5 million deal. So like he'll assume the debt and give the I don't know the arrange. So let's say best case they're gonna make $2.5 million off this deal. That's split in half. It's 1.25 million each. First of all, that's not that much. I mean, that's like more money than you and I will ever have. Let's establish that. But for these rich people that have like if they want to buy a house in Newport Beach,
They're going to need a little more than that.
they're gonna need more. Well, and also like this like. They make a big deal about how, like, Caleb is way overpaying for this, like ridiculously overpaying for this price. This is a fully functional, restored beachfront restaurant in Southern California, one of the most expensive real estate places in the world. And he bought it for $2.5 million. And I don't know. I feel like that's low to me. Like, I think the Cohen's house is worth more than that. I think the Cohen's house is worth more than $2.5 million.
And Sandy, the way that he has felt about this restaurant and all the things that have gone on with the relationship between Caleb and Sandy working together, Sandy's very skeptical about the price that was paid for this, how willing Caleb was in order to help with the restaurant. And so for it to be a smaller amount of money, but it's still large enough to appeal to Jimmy to get him to sign on the deal and convince Sandy, I mean, like, Scott, there's something going on.
Yeah,
something going on.
And I still don't know how all this works too, because like they got investors, right? There were like Caleb was an investor in this restaurant. So like Caleb sunk money into this restaurant. Is he gonna? I just don't like this deal. Is weird. I don't get it.
It's a weird deal,
It's a
but
weird
you know
deal.
what? Such is real estate. And we're gonna go now to meet Aunt Cindy. Aunt Cindy, Scott, is smoking. She's foul mouthed. She's that Riverside girl.
Yep.
It's everything that Julie was, and it was running away from.
Yeah, and it turns out they have not seen each other for 7 years, and Cindy is absolutely shocked that she was invited, and that makes the smirk on Marissa's face make perfect sense. And of course, who walks in the door and sees her sister Cindy?
Juju.
And she is not happy.
Nope.
I believe the exact quote in the story is, "What are you doing here?"
Oh, Scott, that was a really good impression.
I was invited. Marissa invited me. And then everyone looks at Marissa and she's just like, "Huh?"
I thought you'd want this to be a family affair,
Of course,
Mom.
the family's so important to you, Mom.
Yeah. So it's time for lunch with Summer's dad.
Oh, here we
and
go.
we
Here we
open the
go.
lunch on Seth telling Mr. Roberts about Chrismica.
That's
Which is smart. Yeah. Because it's the best idea that he's come up with. And it's good to lead with all the best stuff,
You
right?
lead with your best. You lead
Yeah.
with your best material. You got to get them
Yeah.
quick. But then Elise, Seth moves into his love of comic books. And look, this is a intelligent but like basic, like, I recognized all the comic book authors he mentioned here.
Okay.
Like it's like very well known, but he's talking about like, I think he's giving a good argument. Comic books are an art form. He's talking about some of the classics he loves. He's making an intelligent argument about why comic books are important and artistic and all these things that I happen to agree with. It's not my favorite art form. I don't love reading comics, but I do see it as an art form. Absolutely. But Summer's daddy, Summy's daddy, Summy daddy, clearly not a fan.
Yeah.
Clearly not a fan of the direction this conversation is going at all. And then we start talking about Vim and Vigor over and over again. Vim and Vigor. It's just bad.
Hey, Scott.
It's real bad. I can tell you, conversations with your father never touched on your Vim and or your Vigor.
How about the first time that you met my parents? How was that?
The first time I met your parents was at your birthday. It was July, and we started dating in April. So it had been about 3 months, which I think is a fair amount of time,
Yeah.
especially when you're close to your parents, as you are. I thought it was fine. I mean, the thing with it.
Fine.
No. I think that like the first meeting, it needs to be a lot of people. Like if it was like a one-on-one with me and your dad, and like me, you, and your dad at dinner, and then you went to the bathroom, and it's just like me and your dad for the first time ever, that might have been a little more awkward.
Yeah.
But like when it's a big meeting and it's like your whole family was there.
And you'd met my sisters before, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I had met.
thought
Well,
that's-
I met Meredith very quickly because it was around her birthday that I met Meredith. I don't remember when I met
but both
Adrian.
my sisters were there
Yeah, okay,
at that birthday thing for Meredith.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought it was fine. Like I'm
Okay.
good.
Did you sit in bright light?
I'm good with parents.
You weren't in bright light, and it's okay.
No, I didn't order a steak either.
No, you didn't.
Ugh.
It's True Foods. It's that True Foods place.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my dinner with your parents went much, much, much better
It did.
than this.
Yeah. So Haley and Jimmy are finally deciding to tell Kirsten about the two of them, but they hesitate before knocking on the door. Instead, they just make out right in front of it. So, of course, Julie and Kirsten happen to open the door at exactly that moment, and surprise, the cat's out of the bag.
And then the scene just ends, and so we don't really get to see the reaction to that at all. And we move on to Ryan and Marissa picking up a cake for the wedding shower. They're at this bakery to pick up that cake, and they bump into Teresa, who's
Remember, she picked up a couple of shifts at the bakery.
no.
They said that.
No, she said she was working for a catering company.
No, at the beginning of this episode, she said she picked up a couple shifts at the bakery.
Okay, sure.
She did.
Sure.
Scouts on her.
Here's like this. She's like super good at getting jobs very quickly.
It's that temp
When
agency,
she-
Scott.
when the show needs her to get a job, and super bad. Hey, remember when Ryan worked at the Crab Shack? Remember that?
Yeah.
Does he work there still?
No.
I don't think
No.
so. My point is, it's just weird that like Teresa just flits in and out of jobs like whenever the script requires her to.
She's really good, though, you know?
But the weird thing,
Great work ethic.
the weird thing the show does again is they bump into Teresa. There's an awkward moment, and then the scene just ends, and we don't actually get to see the reaction of Ryan learning about this big black eye that she has, and the show will just like, I feel like it's cutting away from scenes before they're done. Like Kirsten's reaction to seeing Haley and Jimmy is important, and it will play into the rest of the episode. Ryan's reaction to seeing Teresa with a black eye is super important and is the A plot of this episode. And in like 2 minutes, we're gonna move to a scene where Ryan like confronts her in front of their pool to talk about Eddie. And I'm like, no, that would have happened in the moment that, like, it's just weird. Like, the show, I don't understand why they're doing this. It's just, like, the scene ends illogically. Like, did they just, like, see her and be like, oh, awkward, I'm gonna leave now and we're gonna have this conversation tomorrow?
You know what happened, Scott?
What?
They had to trim it somewhere.
But I don't know if that's true, though, because, like, the conversation that they have in front of the pool seems like the first time they're actually having it out about Eddie. And I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. I just felt like, why is the scene ending? And why are we picking the scene up tomorrow? It's weird.
I don't know,
like
Scott. It's not a great episode.
No,
we'll just leave it at that.
It's not.
Yeah. So Sandy wants to go down to Chino and knock some sense. Not Sandy. Ryan.
No.
Ryan wants to go down to Chino.
Sandy wants to go down to Chino and knock some sense into Eddie.
Sandy wants to do that? I don't remember Sandy saying that.
Okay.
I will believe you because you watched the episode more times more recently than I did.
Yes.
So now that he's out of the restaurant business, he's getting back into the superhero business, Scott, and he's going to go throw some punches because it's Super Sandy time.
Yep.
And why have we not had Super Sandy time before?
I don't know.
Okay.
Now we're
New
having
segment, Super Sandy time.
Eyebrow man. His eyebrows each have the power of 10 eyebrows. Kirsten talks him out of doing this, though. Kirsten is like, instead of talking to the dude who punched a woman, talk to his victim. Help her. You can't change him. Screw that guy. Help her. Help your son. Talk to them. And I think it's great. I like the scene a lot. I think it's really great. And so that's exactly what Sandy does. He goes and talks to Ryan, and he basically says, "Hey, I know you're pissed at me for not telling you, but I'm a lawyer and my client, not client, but she told me not to tell. And as a lawyer, I have to respect that. And also, I knew you were going to fly off the handle. And if you do go fly off the handle, if you drive to Chino, if you go punch a dude in the face, you're just going to be proving my worst fears about you correct. So don't do that. Don't disappoint me." And so that's kind of where we leave that conversation. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and we're also going to have to see how Seth and Summer are going after that horrible lunch with Dr. Roberts. And Seth's over at Summer's trying to see how it all went, but she's clearly avoiding him.
And it's time for another episode of Scott's Fashion Corner. Bah, bah, bah.
Okay, Scott, what do you want to tell us about Summer's outfits this week?
So Summer is wearing this like banging. It's a pink dress. It's a short
Gingham.
It's a short dress. What?
Gingham.
Is that what it is?
The one she wears to the shower.
It's great.
Right? Yeah.
Love it. It's like pink striped.
Gingham.
Whatever. I don't know what that means. You keep saying a word. I don't know what it means.
Okay.
Is it Gangnam Style, like the Korean song?
No, ging. Not Gangnam. Gingham.
Oh, well, that helps. I totally get it now. Totally get it. Anyway, she looks great. She looks like a woman. Like I actually think this is like.
She looks like a woman.
Well, the problem is I actually think she's like dressed up so nicely that she stops looking like a teenager and looks like the 20-something person she was when this episode came out.
Gingham.
Seth, on the other hand.
I just pulled up a picture.
Okay.
For Scott.
Seth, it's like a picnic table.
It's plaid.
It's a picnic table.
Yeah.
Seth, on the other hand, is wearing a polo shirt with a striped, like pinstripe sports coat over it, and it doesn't fit him. It's too big for him.
And jeans.
He's drowning in it. And like what this does is so Summer looks like an adult. Summer looks like a 20-something adult, and Seth looks like a little baby child. And I don't know if they did this on purpose, if they dressed them this way on purpose to show the difference between them. To accentuate the divide between the two characters. If they did, it's brilliant. If they didn't plan for this, it was poor planning because Seth looks like a little child and Summer looks like a full-grown adult. It really stuck out to me.
Yeah. Well, Teresa and Ryan are at their house, or his house, and they are going to have the conversation that they probably should have had when he bumped into her at the bakery, but they didn't for some reason because it's better to have it in the nice backyard of the Coens than it is in a bakery.
You know what it is?
More camera people.
Like we've never seen that bakery set before, right?
Yeah.
So that was probably like a real, like they either like only could be on, like they either like were loaned that set by another
Yeah, it was
another
probably just
production in the studio, or they were at a
work.
real bakery and they only had like 2 hours to shoot, and so that's all they could handle there was just the bump and go.
That's probably true.
It's probably it.
So Teresa's going to take some self-defense classes and stay with Eddie.
Which is, I mean,
Yeah.
dumb. It's
About what you should do, right?
It's stupid, but I get like the thing that I love about this episode is that like the show doesn't treat Teresa as like idiotic for like still wanting to stay with this person. It treats it what it is, which is a very complicated situation. That's the thing that Sandy tells to her the first time they meet is like, she's like, I know it should be easy. I should just leave him, right? And he's like, no, it's never easy. I understand it's easy, but I mean, yeah, you should. You shouldn't marry a person that's going to beat you. But I understand why it's not an easy decision to make. Whereas Ryan's whole tack is like, no, you're a fucking idiot. Like, what's wrong with you? Of course, leave him.
All black and white with
Yeah,
Ryan.
yeah.
Yep. So Marissa comes over to take Ryan to the shower and she sees Teresa. So Marissa's kind of awkward, but she takes it well. She's realized that based on their last conversation, Teresa has nothing with Ryan that she's interested in. So they're all going to head to the wedding shower together, right?
Yeah. I want to circle back to this at the end of the episode because
Okay.
what I actually think is going on here is Marissa is coming up against things that really bother her. And instead of dealing with them, she's just swallowing it down. And I don't think it's going to be good. But
Okay.
we'll get back to that.
Okay. So at the shower.
And so, yeah, we get to the shower and Aunt Cindy is flirting, quote unquote, with her sister's boyfriend. She's talking to Caleb, and Julie Cooper sees that as flirting, just like when they were kids. And Kirsten, while looking at Haley and Jimmy flirting with each other, says, I know what you mean. Kirsten, girl.
Super Sandy.
Girl.
You got yourself a real man.
His eyebrows have the strength of 10 eyebrows.
I don't understand what you would want in Jimmy.
Yeah.
The shrimp.
I hope we're not going to go back to this thing. I
don't know,
really
Scott.
hope we're not.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Prediction time?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So Aunt Cindy decides that it's the wedding shower and
boring. She's gonna spice it
Julie
up.
didn't want to play any games at her wedding shower, but because Cindy was not a part of the planning, Cindy does not know this. Therefore, when Cindy decides to play How Well Do You Know Them to embarrass Julie in her old Riverside ways, we start with the question about what is Julie's favorite meal? And of course, her friend from spin class says, oh, I know this one. It's Chilean sea bass with baby carrots. And Cindy's like, nope, it's a double-double with cheese and extra sauce.
Okay, but here's the deal. Like, I think Chilean sea bass with baby carrots sounds delicious. I would never in my wildest dreams list that as my favorite meal.
Scott, what's my favorite meal?
Oh my God. What's your favorite meal? I actually have no idea. I don't know. You like a lot of different foods.
I know, I like a lot of different ones.
I don't have a favorite meal either.
I don't.
I mean, I think a double-double with extra sauce would be fucking delicious.
Do you have a favorite meal that I cook, though? But now that I've been cooking so much different things.
It rotates, baby.
We've a lot of different things that we've been cooking lately. What's your favorite new recipe that we've tried lately, Scott?
I forget what it was. It was one of those things with the mushrooms a few weeks ago. One of those mushroom meals was freaking amazing.
Not the cheesesteak fries?
Those were good too. Those were really good. And so good. The thing about the cheesesteak fries is they were so good for you. Like
They
I just
weren't
eat it and
so
I'm
good
like-
for you,
I'm like,
but
oh my God, it's like I'm eating salad.
yeah.
Yeah.
No. Okay, where are we? Where Teresa and Marissa are talking when Ryan walks up to
Yeah,
check on them
Teresa-
at the shower.
Teresa and Marissa have this like cool bonding moment where they're just like, the reason I didn't want to tell Ryan is because I see he's so happy with you, and she's like trying to reinforce Marissa and like, look, I'm not trying for your man. I'm see that you guys are happy, and I want you to stay that way, and that's why I didn't talk to Ryan. I just called his dad instead. Teresa. Anyway, Ryan shows up to check on them, and at this moment, what happens, Elise? What happens at this very moment that Ryan walks up?
Ryan realizes that Teresa is still talking because Eddie calls Teresa and Teresa's like, oh, he's just going to apologize again.
Yeah.
And Ryan's like, oh my gosh, you've been talking to him this whole time? And Teresa's like, huh. And then Ryan gets real upset and he storms off.
He man.
Well, first of all, he answers the phone and Teresa gets upset. And then he storms off. He grabs Marissa's keys. He steals the car. Seth tries to stop him. He grabs his arm and he's like, you better let go of my arm. And Seth's like, it's a horrible idea. And my dad said not to do it. And Ryan ignores him.
Why you gotta you gonna infantilize my boy Seth like that?
What do you mean?
Your voice for Seth is just a little mean there.
Scott.
Make him tough. He's a tough boy.
It's a horrible idea. My dad said not to do it.
Yeah, that sounds like Seth. That's Seth to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So Ryan blows him off, ignores him again, and it's just like Oliver all over again, where Ryan's flying off the handle and he's not listening to anyone's good advice. Because we then move into the parking lot, and suddenly we've moved from a very beautiful sunny day in Southern California to like really like, I think some fog blew in, and they just didn't have time to wait for it to go away before they did the shot, so they just shot it, and it's like really super foggy all of a sudden.
It's that mad cow.
So Sandy. It's the mad cow.
It's that mad cow.
It's fucking mad cows changing the weather with their farts.
Yep. I thought it was the farts too. I was gonna say the farts. Oh, we both think it's cow farts. It's all that methane. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry.
So
you can go.
yeah, so Sandy like confronts Ryan, makes him roll down the window, and he's like, "Look, dude, you can't do this." And I think he makes some pretty good points here. Like beating up Eddie is not going to fix the situation. It's not going to. It's not going to make him suddenly stop being the type of person that beats their significant other. It's not going to change Teresa's mind. They can't force Teresa to change her mind. They can support her and protect her as much as possible, but at the end of the day, it's her decision to leave him. And that's a really great point. And Ryan is like, "You don't get it. I'm from Chino. You don't get it." And Sandy's like, "Motherfucker, I am a public defender who's seen the worst that humanity has to offer for years working in public defense. What do you mean I don't get it?" Like,
That's not what he said, but you're right. That's pretty much what he wanted to say with those eyebrows.
I mean, it's such like a you don't understand thing. And it's like, yes, Sandy does. Sandy grew up in Brooklyn poor, and he's been working in public defense for a decade. He understands. It's like such a I hated Ryan in this episode. It's such dismissive bullshit.
It's Ryan.
And Ryan still, even after all this good advice and some of the best parenting I think we've seen from Sandy, still blows off his guardian, drives off, and leaves. Still. And you're just like, once again, you're just like, Ryan. But anyway, there's too many plots going on, so we got to move on to the next one.
And now we're just like, ugh. Jimmy, because Jimmy finally talks to Kirsten about the Haley situation. Kirsten's convinced that Haley is just using Jimmy to get back at her because that's all that Haley does is just use men. Jimmy says for him, it feels real, you know?
And she says, "You were just starting to do so well. I don't want to see you." And how does he respond to that?
Happy?
Yeah.
Just be happy for me, okay?
And she just says, "Okay." And she just walks off. Yeah. So, cool. So I think Kirsten's going to have a problem with this going forward. And she claims it has nothing to do with jealousy. She's not jealous at all. She just doesn't want to see him get hurt by her no good sister. There's so many characters. Like, this is what's happening. We're moving towards the season finale.
Yeah.
And so we got to bring all our conflicts to a climax, our season-long conflicts to a climax. And the way we're doing that in the show is just making a lot of our characters behave like fucking assholes. Mm-hmm. A lot of our characters are just behaving like jerks.
Yeah.
Which I get it. Sometimes people behave like jerks. I'm not faulting the show for that. It's just like, it just makes me go like, ugh, you stupid jerk. Ryan, you jerk.
Yeah.
Kirsten, you jerk. Caleb, you jerk.
All I want to do is jerk, jerk, jerk.
And just wait till we get to Summer.
Yeah.
You jerk. Anyway.
Yeah. So Julie and Cindy have it out. They're discussing their past and how Julie kind of ditched her sister whenever she left Riverside because back when you had big hair and you wore tight jeans and you moved to LA and they were going to be marry rock stars.
They had all these dreams.
They did. They had all these dreams, and then Julie left before, and she couldn't take Cindy with her.
Presumably because she got knocked up by Jimmy Cooper.
Presumably so.
Yeah. See, here's I think this is the plot line that this overstuffed episode hurts the most. Because there's just not enough time for this. This Julie and her sister thing was 3 scenes in this 42-minute episode. And there was no time for it. Like, we really barely understand this stuff. And it's just like, blah, 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 and it's fixed. Okay, it's fine. Blah, moving on. Yeah. it's just so undercooked. It's just like, it doesn't do anything. Why is this here? Why is this needed in this episode? I don't know.
So that Marissa gets to get back at her mom, but
Yeah.
Anyways.
But Cindy does get invited to the wedding.
Yay,
Caleb,
Cindy.
yeah. I would continue to say that this relationship is making both Caleb and Julie better people. But
Caleb's doing that whole
Caleb is
blackmail
doing the
thing
whole
with
thing.
Marissa. So
it's hard to say
not great.
anything.
So Seth finally confronts Summer, who's been avoiding him all day.
Oh, no.
And we find out that Papa Roberts, he hates Seth. And Summer isn't sure of what to do because Summer loves her dad so much and they've been through so much together. And Seth's, he's just trying so hard. And, he thinks it's okay. He doesn't really have to be his dad's type because the only thing that matters is Seth and Summer, right?
And she doesn't answer. She leaves. And here's the deal. I am very disappointed in Summer here.
But you also understand.
I get it.
Yeah.
I think every person's relationship with their parents is different.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are closer with their parents. Some people are not. You, for instance, are pretty close to your parents.
Yeah.
And if I had met your parents 3 months into us dating and your parents literally said, I fucking hate that kid. I can't stand him. I don't know what you're thinking. You might not have immediately dumped me, but I think that would be something that would really, really deep,
I would have valued their
screw
opinion
with our relationship.
Yeah, it's true.
And so while I want Summer to be the person that is like, no, Dad, you just haven't seen what I see in him yet, and we might get there. I'm not saying we're not going to. I totally get how this could throw you for a loop, especially since they've established in just this episode, but they've established that they're best friends, and we know Summer's mother is either I don't know if we know what happened to Summer's mother. But
Ghost thinks she does.
She's not in the picture anymore.
Yeah.
So
Step Monster is there.
Yeah. So they are a team, Summer and Dad, and I totally get why Dad hating this kid. And I think we've kind of established Dad as a little bit of a jerk though. I think the vegetables are effeminate thing is not something that's going to win me over to this character. But I get it. It's disappointing. I'm bummed out. I'm not on the Summer's the best girlfriend train ever anymore.
Oh, wow.
Best girlfriend ever train. I said that wrong.
No, you said it right. I thought you did.
I said on the best girlfriend train ever. Best girlfriend ever train.
Oh.
I'm not on that train anymore. I got off at Cohensville. But I get it. You get it, right?
Yeah. No, I get it. It's sad.
It is.
And Ryan was on his way to Chino. And for the first time in maybe this entire series, Ryan makes the smart choice and listens to Sandy. He turns around and he heads right back to where he came from. And I read that wrong. I'm sorry. But he goes to the Mermaid Inn instead. He's going to go to Chino, and then he decides, no, I'm going to listen to Sandy. This is the wrong move. And
and what you're describing would have been a really great thing to show in the episode.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So all that happens is we cut to the Mermaid Inn, and suddenly Teresa is packing, and Ryan knocks on the door, and he's there, and he explains that he was halfway to Chino and changed his mind and came back. But we don't actually see that. And I'm like, this is the biggest, this is Ryan's arc, right? Learning to listen to people's advice, learning to take people's advice, learning to not fly off the handle, learning to do the right thing is his arc. And it didn't dramatize that. It didn't show that happen. We see the after effect of it. We don't see it.
It's because there's too much stuff that's been trying to go on.
Because there's too much stuff in this episode.
I know.
I agree. I don't understand why it might have even been just a short little scene where you seeing him on the road and Sandy calls him and he sees his dad or listens to a message from his dad.
Oh, that would have been good.
Listens to a message from his guardian being one
we
final
have to
attempt.
Stop. Yeah.
And it finally dawns on him that he's right. It could be something like that.
That would have been really cool.
But instead we don't see any of it. And we just go, and so she's back at the Mermaid Inn and Ryan just talks with her and convinces her not to go back. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
So Ryan realizes he needed to make a change, and he does it. And Kirsten realizes she needs to make a change. She needs to never throw another party ever again because nothing good ever happens at her parties. Have you noticed that?
I love when the show gets kind of self-referential, right? When it like acknowledges that it's a show where the show ends in parties constantly and nothing good ever happens at any of these parties. Yep.
Yeah. So Ryan shows up with Teresa and says that he doesn't say, but she ends up staying at the Cohens. She's going to be in the pool house. Ryan's going to bunk with Seth because they don't have any other rooms that Ryan can have by himself.
This giant fucking mansion.
It's a very small house. It's super small.
Yeah.
And he goes into their shared bedroom to apologize to Seth for all the things that he was to him.
Yeah. And Seth doesn't want that apology. He says, you should be apologizing to someone else. You should be apologizing to your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Seth, I mean, if they're going to be bunking together, their relationship's a little rocky now.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Seth is also like very, very sad because his stuff with Summer. And that's what he tells Ryan. He tells her about Summer and he says, of all the love triangles to sink us, this is the least sexy one. The love triangle between her father, her boyfriend, and her. Yeah.
So Ryan listens to Seth, another person he listens to.
He does.
He goes to talk to Marissa by the pool as they see Teresa unpacking in the pool house, and Ryan apologizes. She accepts because remember from the beginning of the show, all is great in Marissa and Ryan world, and you and me, we're going to be fine. That's what they decide.
And they hug, and the camera pulls out up into the air. It's a crane shot as the two of them are hugging, and we see their faces aren't facing each other, and both of them, as much as they said we're going to be fine, on both of their faces is a look of concern, worry.
Yeah.
So not quite as fine as they say it's going to be.
No, it doesn't seem quite as fine.
And like we talked about before, I think what we're doing here is I think Marissa is on the verge of like some sort of serious breakdown. And I think like everyone keeps asking her how she's doing, and she always starts going into something, and then it's like, you know what? I'm fine. And she's just swallowing it down. And swallowing it down and swallowing it down. And I think it's going to explode.
Okay.
Maybe not today. Maybe not next week. But the season finale is a mere 2 episodes away.
It's true.
And I think that would be a pretty great time for some explosion to happen. Like if anything goes wrong, anything else goes wrong in her life.
It's true.
I think that's what we're doing. So that is the end of the episode.
So we're going to do our other segment, no little music for relationship status.
Relationship status.
Oh, I like that, Scott. Let's go a little bit more.
How?
Continue.
Where do you
Continue.
want
I just want a little bit more.
Relationship status.
Relationship
status.
Okay.
Which was the best one?
I liked the last one the best. I really did. Okay, so we're going to start. Okay, Scott, we're going to start this week with Coop and Ryan. Last week, Coop and Ryan were at a 7 out of 10. Well, this is quite the pickle. If we take these two characters on their words, everything is going well. But the look on their faces as we close that episode, I don't know, Scott. I'm going to leave them at a 7 out of 10, Scott, because we're concerned.
We are concerned, but not concerned enough to drop them down.
No, Scott, how are Seth and Summer doing this week?
Oh, well, last week we gave them a 9 out of 10. They were the couple of the week. And this week, disaster! Hopefully, Summer is able to work through the issues she has. Maybe Seth can get another shot with Papa Roberts, but this does not look good, Elise. I'm going to give these two a very, very sad 5 out of 10.
All right, Scott, we're going to move to Sandy and Kirsten Cohen. Last week, they were at 8 out of 10. This week, Sandy and Kirsten seem to continue to be doing fine. Sandy has found his way back to being a superhero, but Kirsten is not handling her sister's relationship with her ex well. Hopefully, Scott, they'll be fine, but it's got me worried that he drops them down to a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. It's
yeah,
a rough
Scott.
time. It's
how are Juliet Cooper and Caleb Nickel doing, Scott?
Well, Elise, last week we gave them a 7 out of 10, and we're 2 episodes away from the end of the season, and it seems like Julie and Caleb might just be the strongest couple on the show somehow.
Wow, Scott. That's incredible.
Caleb learns more about Julie's past. He already knows some stuff of her past that she doesn't even know that he knows yet. But we conclude the episode on him basically saying, there's nothing that I could learn about your past that would make me fall out of love with you. Elise, this weirds me out, but
okay.
I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10 and officially declare them our couple of the week.
Wow, Scott, you know, this couple has made quite the stride over the past few weeks, and we're happy to award them something because we don't know how much longer they're going to be able to keep that first place, but you got to have it at least once a week or one time in your lifetime. That's really what I meant to say.
We go from fucking a teen to couple of the week.
Redemption stories here, Scott. It's true. All right, we're going to end this week with Jimmy and Haley. Last week, they were a 6 out of 10. Jimmy and Haley have gone public, and therefore we are allowed to bump them up. While Kirsten's cold shoulder to the relationship could end up dooming it, things seem pretty good for Jimmy right now. We're going to give them an 8 out of 10, Scott.
Okay, you said Jimmy, and you did not read the name of the relationship.
Jim Lee.
Jim Lee.
Excuse me.
It's Jim Lee is the name of the relationship. That's what we're calling them. 8 out of 10. That seems fair. Seems fair for the old Jim Lee.
All right, Scott, what do you think's going to happen next week?
Well, the next episode is called The Strip. So, in the lead up to a wedding, we've done the wedding shower. We're going to move on to the bachelor party.
Okay.
And what a better place for a bachelor party than a strip club on the Strip in Las Vegas.
Okay.
It's just a quick drive
Okay.
from Southern California over to Las Vegas. It's only a couple hours.
If that's what you think,
I
Scott.
I think we're going to Vegas. What do I think is going to happen? I don't know. I mean, I've already like sprinkled some predictions throughout the show. I think Seth and Summer. I don't know. I think Seth is going to go on this bachelor party. Maybe he's going to do something stupid in Vegas. Ooh. On the rocks with a girlfriend and go to Vegas. I like it. I like it, me. All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, Scott,
That's all the time we have for you this week. What can they do if they like the show?
if you like this podcast, you can check out all the other shows that we do over at doofmedia.com. One show that we started recently is Kingslingers. If you enjoy what we do over at We've Got Ward or We've Got Worm, we are doing the same sort of thing with Kingslingers, reading a series of books, dissecting it week from week, and seeing what you guys think about it.
Yeah, what is the Dark Tower?
It's a set of 7 books by Stephen King.
There's 8, but there's 7. It's fine. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's an epic fantasy series by Stephen P. King.
Scott's favorite author.
True.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen to that. Also, consider donating to us on Patreon. We are a fully Patreon funded organization. Our company is fully funded only by the generous donations of our listeners. So if you like what we do and want to support us, donate, please. You can head over to patreon.com/doofmedia and give us $5 a month. And for $5 a month, you get access to our Discord. You get to participate in our monthly Doof and Chill sessions where we just like chill.
Yeah.
That's it.
And remember, if you want me to read your message live, well, I say live because I'm alive as I'm reading it.
You will be alive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forget, how much do you have to pay for that
It's
one?
$100.
It's $100. Guys, come on.
What's $100 between you and your loved one?
That's true.
That you want Elise to bartend.
I mean, there is that really important holiday that's coming up that would have been really nice to have people have a message out for Valentine's Day.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's too late.
It's too late now.
The next episode will be after Valentine's
Anniversaries, birthdays, Christmas,
Yeah.
love it all.
Arbor Day.
Yeah. So if you happen to be listening via Apple Podcast, you might also go ahead and head on over there to drop us a rating and a review. And that would be much appreciated.
It would
5 stars
indeed.
only.
Well, I mean, you can leave other. We would just be very
5
sad.
stars only.
5 stars only.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. We will see you next week on another exciting episode of Whatcha Say. Farewell from the OC. Bitches.
Okay. Let's go get the pizza.